The challenge is simple. Use these simple pieces of paper, and each of us are going to create 2 paper airplanes and 2 paper boats. And then we'll take our newfound pride and joy out there into the real world and see which one of us is the greatest paper craftsmanship. Is this going to be a fun, inexpensive idea in order to use a tree carcass as part of our own amusement? Is this going to be fun, especially as 2 adults? Or are creations just going to find the recycling bin a little too quickly? But most importantly, which one of us is going to win? Let's go on this mini adventure and let's find out together right now. Oh, welcome to my channel where I take on different challenges and adventures and encourage you to take on adventures yourself. Now, if you want to be a part of this journey, be bold. Consider subscribing to my channel, but let's get into this challenge. Using regular printer paper, some actual Bristol board, and too much Scotch tape that my artistic pride shouldn't have allowed me to use, but it was necessary. Too necessary sometimes. We're each going to create 2 paper airplanes and 2 paper boats. The first was going to be from our own imagination, our own creation, based on what we could remember and coming from our hearts, and hoping that our time in arts and crafts class hasn't failed us yet. The second glorious creation was going to come from tutorials online, and it's going to come from those folding experts out in the world. And we of course started with a very simple paper airplanes. I went with a classic double crease folding technique in the middle to have a sharper wing design and an extra front fold to create a nose-heavy aircraft. All of this is just a fancy way of saying I was making it up as I went, but the design ended up being sleek, more of a classic aircraft that you would see. She went with a design that was clearly inspired by the Canadian flight companies, maximizing passenger capacity in exchange of efficiency. In this economy, perhaps that was the right design, but who knows for this competition. In the end, created a bulky bold, and hopefully that will be able to withstand the weather that is going to see when we bring it outside. The next step was to watch people who were clearly better than us and show us some designs. I decided to go right to the source, the real expert. Just when you thought he was out, I pulled them back in for one last job. I found a video about someone showing their paper airplane design that they used to break the world record in 2014, creating a very interesting, sleek design for a world record airplane. Hopefully, it has what it takes. She decided to keep things simple and go with a classic jet-like design that was much more aerodynamic. In the field testing inside, this origami aircraft flew. However, the world out there is cruel, and we'll see if the weather will be just as kind to this aircraft. Sleek, slim, fancy, this aircraft might have what it takes to take home the gold. We also had to go through some very necessary and cute distractions. Belly rubs are never an unnecessary distraction. With all our flight simulators ready, it was time for the floaty boys, the paper boats. This proved to be much more difficult as I don't think I've ever made a paper boat in my life. I've done sailing before, I've learned how to be on a boat, which I hoped would translate here, but it didn't. It did not. I don't know where she got these folding skills because this was the design that she came out of her mind, but this created something that actually looked like a boat. Her design was sleek, classic, and any pirate would be happy to sail the 7 seas with this boat. When it hits the water, we'll see if it's able to function like a boat. Speaking about things that might actually look like a boat, that's not what mine ended up like at all. My idea was to create a square base and add a fin in the bottom in order to help it stay straight. It's lucky that my career is not building boats because I ended up with a cubed boat. You know, the cubed boats. You can tell how good a boat is based on how many corners it has. But you know what? I don't care. I'm proud of my SS corner. I believe in it. With those done, we turned to the experts to see what kind of boats that they were gonna make. She found a very simple video that only took about 3 minutes to create a functioning paper boat. You know, when it comes to making a paper boat, there are 2 criteria. One, paper, the other is a boat. And she hit both. Look at this design, it is paper and it is a boat. So who knows how it's going to do. But for mine, I had an expert. I was hoping to create something that could be quick, but has those origami folds, so it's a mix of sleek, design, and performance. I was 2 for 2. I'm making something that just didn't look like a boat. I ended up making a discount jet ski instead. I was just hoping that if it is gonna look like a jet ski, maybe it'll go as fast as a jet ski. But there's only one way to find out. After adding a little bit of personality to our creations, it was time to take our recyclable paper crafts into the real world for a field test and see which one turns out to be the best. Paper airplanes test, pick a spot, throw, and see which one made it the furthest. We started out with our mental creations, the things that we put our heart and soul into to come from our minds and became into the real world as a tangible thing. And I have to say, the results speak for themselves. Maybe making my nose heavy wasn't the best idea, and the Air Canada airplane did get some good distance, but it might go bankrupt faster than its real-life counterpart. But then it was time to bring in those internet experts, starting out with the simple, sleek jet design. It did very well in the internal environment, but coming to the cruel outside world, it struggled a bit more with those outside elements. Simple design turned out to be very good, but is it enough? Because last was the veteran, the 2014 retiree, coming out for one last flight. And with one solid throw, this showed that there's a reason why he was the world champion, bringing home the victory. You know, the classic underdog story of a world champion coming out of retirement to win an amateur competition. A tale as old as time. Next up was those floaty boys. The first test was to see if those boats would actually float and not just get destroyed the first contact they got with any liquids. Testing each one of them proved that they would survive their journeys, even if some of them looked less like boats and more like aftermath of a boating accident. Even if they looked kind of wonky, 3 out of the 4 boats looked like they could carry a weight with them. And that would be the test that we would do next time. But in the moment, we realized we had to do a different test because we could have just used a normal piece of paper without folding it at all and putting it in the water. It would still float and probably survive just as well. So we went for our second test, which was the Fast and Furious Canada Canal style test. We would try to place them at the same time and have them race down those rapids and see which boat could travel the fastest to its destination. It was an intense and exciting race, seeing which one of our designs that we put our hopes and dreams in could make it with some twists and turns. And this nail-biting race to victory, we realized it had less to do with the designs of the boat and more of the river itself. Since they don't have any real way of go faster on their own or anything that actually pushes them caring about the environment, we had to make sure that we performed our rescue mission on all the paper boats, even if that meant dealing with the very cold river waters, with the SS Corner being the last survivor out there in its oceanic journey. Out of everything that happened and everything we've been through, somehow I knew my cube son, being so unorthodox, being so original, would be the last survivor. He went through so much hardship and did what he could to keep that crew alive. Never forget the SS Corner, forever in our hearts. Hello! So, boats, out of the boats, 1 out of 10. What do you think for the boats?
7.
Yeah, and also the boats didn't act the way we thought it was gonna be. Didn't feel like actual boats. Okay, but who won the boats?
Me.
Debatable. We'll see. Yeah, I would say 7 because this would be really fun in a river that you could follow, something you could swim in, like a pool. Fun to make them. A lot more complicated than I thought it was going to be, but it's still fun. What about the airplanes? What do you give it?
The airplanes? 10.
10 out of 10. I think I would also give it a 9. Very simple to do. So many different designs that you can do. You can do them inside or outside. It was really fun to make. I would definitely recommend this. It was super fun. Very simple adventure that you can do anywhere on the cheap. And it was very fun. But what do you guys think? Are you guys going to make some paper airplanes or paper boats? Are you going to look online for the tutorials? Or are you just going to get creative and come up with it yourself? If you have any other designs or things that you can make with paper, I'd love to hear them. Put them down in the comments below. Or you can always hit me up on social media. I want to see what you guys make. And we'll see you.
Bye.
At the next adventure.
At the next adventure.